Welcome, everyone, to my storytelling channel. I am Hua. Here you will find genres of all types, from Western to romance to horror to comedy, shared in both Hmong and English, along with spiritual journeys, messages, meditations, and ritual tutorials. I am happy that you have decided to drop in and visit with me today. If you have not subscribed yet, you can support me by doing so. I hope that you are well and that you are living the best life that you can. Sit back, relax, and let's listen to a story together. This story is titled Colin and is a fiction story I wrote for the giving and love season we are currently in right now. If you have a story to share, you can submit it to the email listed in my comments area below. This story is intended for mature audiences, for language, adult content, and situations. Enjoy this story and share with me your thoughts. I have read so many love stories in this universe. Some leave me breathless, and some leave me in tears. Some I can't believe are real, and some I swallow up and put under my pillow, hoping to find it in my dreams later. But all these love stories, although beautiful, never belonged to me. It wasn't my story, and tried as I might, I couldn't put myself in that situation. You see, I was the spoiled brat boy from a rich home where if I came home drunk, instead of giving me the belt, my parents asked if they did something wrong, and then gave me more wine to drown in. I never saw anything that I did was wrong, and I never believed I could be more than just a rich bratty boy. And as I locked myself in my room reading love stories that stole away my heart, I dreamt of one day meeting someone who would do the same thing to me. I never thought it possible until she came into my life, until she showed up and gave me a smile that didn't belong to me, but I stole it anyway, until she touched my heart with her gentle hand and I collapsed to the earth feeling as if I had been living a lie. It wasn't until she that I learned that the greatest love story I would ever know and come to love was my very own. My background? I'm the only son of Miles Hampshire III. My father is the sole owner of Hampshire Manor and is known by the villagers as Lord Miles. He is this smashing bastard whose smile can make many women drop panties and lift up shirts. And trust me, he took advantage of that. Late nights at the pub and drinking mead until he was down and dirty. My mother, Rosa, was stuck at home with me on her breast, wondering if he would ever come home in one piece. We lived in Kimpshaw, an outskirts town of London. Money was not a problem. I was born with money in my mouth and in my fist. Whatever I wanted, all I had to do was whine, and I'd be given the entire world. And as I grew up, so did the hate and anger toward being misunderstood. When I turned 18, my father shipped me off to the States to live with an uncle who was the chancellor at a university, hoping it would change me, turn me into a man. Except I got deeper into the wrong crowds and became the leader of mass destruction among the young people. But because my uncle was a chancellor, no one could touch me. Again, privilege. It goes a long way. My first 3 years of college was me crashing every single frat party, claiming all the girls when I walked into the room and making a shithole of the entire campus. Did I learn anything? Nothing I didn't already know. But I did love English the most because I got to read stories like Darcy. Yeah, I'm a softie when it comes to things like that, but I hide it pretty well underneath all my tattoos. Honestly, I was bored out of my mind and looking for a way out, but my father threatened to cut me out of the will if I came home without an education. While most lived on campus and paid a fee, I lived with my uncle in his mansion and got my own room the size of Texas. Hate me yet? Yeah, I see you gritting your teeth and shaking your head. Don't worry, you'll remember this moment and feel sorry for me soon enough. Maybe even pity me. My last year of college, at the age of 23, I walked into creative writing class and took my usual seat in the middle. The girls who passed by me, who brushed my shoulders, and all those girls, I already knew what they looked like underneath those innocent white dresses that they wore. Some were even locked in my arms until just this morning when their alarm clock rang for them to get to class. That was my life. It was the only life I knew. I did it to spite my father. I did it to gain attention from my mother. Nothing worked, really. I needed the money, otherwise I would have quit ahead. That day, at 8:15 in the morning, the professor walked in wearing a tweed jacket with a black patched pocket and a gray set of hair. As he picked up the clipboard to speak, the door opened and in walked a new student. I perked up because I had never been hit as hard as this. Her hair was long, dark, shiny, and swung as she moved. Her skin was sun-kissed, and I could see a tan line on her shoulders, probably from a bikini. It made me wonder what her tan lines looked underneath her god-awful librarian outfit. But when she smiled, my heart thumped, and it shocked me so hard I fell from my seat. Everyone laughed. She turned to look at me as I picked myself back up. Ooh, Colin likes her, someone cooed. I turned to her and told her to shut up. The girl in the front returned her gaze to the professor and, after some conversing, walked to sit 2 rows ahead of me. Perfect. I could watch her while I pretended to find this class entertaining. Throughout the course of the hour-long lecture, I noticed that she had a small butterfly tattoo on her left shoulder. When she moved her hair, it played peekaboo with me, and I was breathless. Where on earth had this beauty been hiding? She looked too good to be from around here. She didn't glance at me once, which was disappointing. But when class ended, she hurried out. And as I walked to catch up to her, a regular girl who shared my bed, whose name was Cassie, reached for my arm and linked it around mine. As we made our way past the new girl, I saw that her eyes followed me for a second before she looked at her schedule. Okay, so maybe she did notice me. My uncle had a son who was a pain in the ass. The reason he was a pain in the ass was because he was completely and utterly perfect. If I didn't have to hate him, I'd love him. He was, after all, my own cousin. But he was so successful in life, in other areas that I lacked in, that I had the need to hate him to at least feel human. His name was Lincoln, and he gained his mother's Spanish looks and hair, but had his father's blue-eyed English looks. This made all the girls woo over him like crazy, and I wondered if he knew or if he was just pretending to be deaf and blind about it. He and I were about the same age, but I was a hair taller, and I used it against him at times. But I wouldn't dare brawl with him since he worked out at the gym 4 times a week, and I considered climbing up the stairs my daily workout. I decided after dinner that I was going to have a brotherly conversation with Lincoln. One, because I wanted to find out if he knew anything of the new girl, With his father being the chancellor, he would know the new students better than me. I brought out a bottle of wine and 2 glasses to where he sat reading a book about biology. Biology. Ugh, stupid things, really. I honestly do not know why he was into that stuff. I poured a glass and handed it to him. He took it, but looked at me with surprise in his blue eyes. Have you killed a child somewhere, Colin? Is that why you're so calm and cheery, old chap? He asked. Lincoln had a slight alter to his English accent since he grew up mainly in the States, where mine was a lot thicker since I didn't come later in my years. Nonsense, my brother. I am simply here to talk about the hip lines and the bosoms of women when laid against our manly parts. I stopped. Oh, I totally forgot that you're a virgin. Sorry, old chap. This subject you can't find in that book of yours. He closed his book and gave me a stare. What is it? What do you want? Every time you come here to tolerate my presence, there's something you want. Just say it and then leave me in peace. Peace? Why on earth would you want that? I asked as I sat down beside him drinking my wine. He smirked. Let me see. Peace means I don't get to hear that voice of yours talking about the color of panties you took off. Peace means I get to see you exit this room. I pretended to be hurt and touched my heart. Ow! You wound me. Something deep and fierce. Shut up, Colin. I laughed. I'm here to ask you if if any new students have arrived recently. He smiled and then he leaned forward. Caught your eyes, did she? I shrugged my shoulders as if I didn't know what in the world he was talking about. He laughed and continued. Listen, Colin, you can lie to just about anyone, but you cannot lie to me. I know exactly why we are having this conversation. You're bored and you're looking for someone to conquer. Do not think you can get any information out of me. I set the wine bottle down and finished my glass. Lincoln. Seriously, brother, what you say hurts me so deep. I am not looking for any information, although I'd be more than happy to walk away right now if you were just to tell me her name and where I can find her. Lincoln laughed. You old fool! This is one you are not going to touch. I raised my eyebrows. And why is that? He leaned forward and looked me square in the eyes. Because she's already mine. She's already mine? Those words lingered in my heart long after our conversation ended. Lincoln had simply walked away from me after he said that and left me digging into my brain to see if he purposely said that to wound me deeper or to confuse me. As far as I knew, Lincoln had no girlfriend, so if he wanted her, he had every right. Problem was, I wanted her too. And I hadn't ever wanted a woman, Lincoln did, because I was dead set on believing that he and I never shared the same taste in life. I was now beginning to believe I did not know my own cousin at all. This entire time, I must have been blind to who was around me. I must have fought so hard to have a place in this world that I missed the one person who was going to be my biggest competitor. Geez, Colin, how could you be so blind? How could you be so stupid? I thought about her again. I had no name to put to her face, only that her smile uplifted something deep inside of me and jolted awake a part of me that I never knew existed. I was reacting the way the heroes in the stories I read felt the first time they saw someone who was meant to change their ways of life. And I just couldn't let that go. I would fight to figure out what her name was, even if Lincoln had already claimed her as his. But you know what they say about finding the perfect person? They rarely see you as the one for them. And the next morning, when I purposely ran into her just to spark a conversation, she said to me, "Dude, watch where you're going." No one had ever said that to me before, and it made chasing her the most incredible thing I would ever do. Each day when she came to class and we met, I would watch her every move, how she laughed, how she spoke, and I took into my heart and soul all that she enjoyed doing. I even paid attention to the kind of coffee she ordered and how long she held it in her hands before she took her first drink. Yeah, call me crazy, but that was how I was going to win her. I was going to be the first guy who would make her realize I knew everything about her, and no other man on earth would do. Okay, fine, call me a cocky old fool if you must, but I knew my track record, and I knew my cousin's history. He couldn't beat me when it came to women. I had spent a large portion of my younger years removing garments and knew what they liked as far as fashion. Did he have a clue? Absolutely not. And that gave me the upper hand. What I didn't realize was that she was nothing like the woman I had chased in the past, and I was using my past to win her. And I was about to receive the biggest rejection of my entire life. By the time I got around to knowing her name, Lincoln was already a regular guy she walked around campus with. I'd seen the two of them smiling and walking together. Each time she spoke, her eyes lit up and he would watch her with amazement like a lovesick fool. Honestly, I shouldn't make fun because I was pretty close to his state too. Her name, Maya, was like this sweet candy that rolled off my tongue when I tried saying it. It made me feel tingles up and down my toes, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. Here's the thing you have to know about me. I'm the type that I don't call a girl after I sleep with her in the sack. I go my own way, and if she ends up in my bed a second time, I just consider that she was a good distraction. I never lent my heart to anyone, and no one ever got to know the real me. I think only Lincoln and my uncle knew the real me. Beneath all this was just an act to keep myself from falling off the face of the earth. I had an image to uphold, and so I held it, and I did everything I could to maintain it. I never expected Maya to change it. In fact, I was so set on me changing her that when I began to change myself for her, I didn't even realize it. But that "dude, watch where you're going" line did something to my heart. It left me injured because no one spoke to me like that. So the following day, when Lincoln was caught up in class and she was sitting alone by the bench looking through her latest textbook, I set in front of her a small cappuccino with extra foam. She looked up at me and expected to see Lincoln, but it was me. I could see the disappointment in her eyes, but she couldn't deny the coffee either. "Thank you," she said. I laughed. "Oh, oh Lord," she said, "thank you. Here, I thought you were going to chew my head off and feed me to the sharks." She put her pen down and crossed her arms. "Wow, so you can actually think with your head versus just what's in your pants." My cheeks blushed. First time ever a girl ever made me blush. "Excuse me?" "Excuse me?" she mocked. "Look, Colin, I have been warned of your reputation and what you do to girls. Don't think you'll be coming near me at all." "Did Lincoln tell you something?" I asked, making a mental note to beat the shit out of my cousin. She shook her head and picked up her pen again. "Nope, he didn't have to. The entire campus warned me of you and your parting ways in the morning when you wake up and can't remember the girl's name. And then she mocked my accent. Sorry, babe, but I'll be needing my arm back if I'm to get to class. And then she laughed. Take your trash somewhere else, Colin. It's not welcomed here. Thank you, everybody, for listening to part one of Colin. I hope that you enjoy that. And if you hated Colin, put it in the comments so that I can come and read it later. I will be uploading part two tomorrow, so look forward to that. Thank you, and I will see you again soon.